Billions of people around the world may not be able to access COVID-19 vaccines until 2024 unless President Biden reverses an outrageous big pharma boondoggle that President Trump did at the World Trade Organization. Most of the world's countries are supporting an emergency temporary COVID-19 waiver of certain WTO rules that now empower pharmaceutical corporations to decide how much COVID-19 vaccines and treatments and testing are produced. Trump blocked that waiver. And so far, US officials still haven't changed the US position at the WTO, even though there's a new president. No matter how many of us get vaccinated here, there will be no end to the public health emergency or the related economic crises from COVID, not here or anywhere, if people in the developing world cannot access vaccines and treatments. Think about it. Ongoing outbreaks anywhere mean that mutations and variations of COVID can emerge that could get around the vaccines or that could make people who already survived the first round get sick again. So what's the problem? How can the world produce the vaccines and the COVID treatments needed to avoid continuing health and economic disasters? Well, even after the governments paid upfront to the pharmaceutical corporations to create the vaccines and paid to have them tested and paid billions more to buy up doses, the corporations still control how much vaccine is made and where. The World Trade Organization even requires that every signatory country give a 20-year monopoly control to pharmaceutical corporations. Obviously, the COVID pandemic requires a temporary emergency waiver of those WTO rules. The great news is that South Africa and India proposed just that last year. And now 100 countries from around the world support the waiver. This WTO TRIPS waiver, as it's called, would help make sure that as many governments and companies could make as much vaccine and treatment and testing supplies as possible in many places around the world as quickly as possible, so everyone can have access. The WTO vote on the TRIPS waiver is coming up again in just a few weeks. It is essential that the United States rejoin the community of nations and support this temporary waiver. And that is where you come in. Please take action today so that the Biden administration knows this is a priority. It is essential that the US support the WTO TRIPS waiver now. That's the only way we're going to stop the COVID-19 crisis here or anywhere. The bottom line, we must make vaccines available everywhere if we're going to beat COVID anywhere.